Hey everybody, this is Cristena from Crafty Stamp Co. Welcome to day 12 of the 13 days of Halloween series that we're doing this year. Today we're going to go ahead and make a test tube mini slimline. You guys have seen the little test tube treats all over the place, I am sure, but I wanted to take it a little bit further and make it into a slimline card so you could have your treat and your card all at once. So my card base is black cardstock that is 7 by 6.5, and it is scored at 3.5 on the 7-inch side. The white paper is 2.25 by 5 3/4, and I'm just putting that on the inside. And don't worry, all of these sizes are going to be down below in the description, so you will have all of this. So if I'm talking too fast or you miss something, don't worry, it'll be down below. So then I have a little scallop rectangle on the front there, and I'm using some paper from our Halloween Textures paper pack, and this is the glitter piece, and it's cut at 3 by 6, and I'm just putting that on the front there. And I have another little piece of paper off to the side. You can see it's going to be covered by this card, but this way it'll all flow together, and that's kind of what I was showing you on the card. So now we have this other piece that is also from our Halloween Textures, and this piece is going to be 2 3/4 by 5 3/4, and that's just going to go right on top of the glitter. Now don't worry, it's going to cover it up a little bit, but the important parts is that you'll still see it because we're going to bring that glitter back in on the front part of our little test tube box. So we'll still see that. Now these two pieces here, all the scoring will be down below. But I'm going to start with the first piece, which is 3 by 5 3/4. And I'm just burnishing all of these pieces. Now one thing that we have to do on these is cut out the circles. And what I did before I even did any of this is I went ahead and I used a 1-inch circle punch, and you can see that little white piece of paper up there in the corner, and I put my test tubes on it so that I could see how far away they needed to be or how close they needed to be. So if you're like me and don't want to sit there and punch a bunch of paper, then I would go ahead and make yourself one of those little things too. So all I'm doing is I'm showing that I'm going to put that down. I'm going to draw my circles with a pen so I know where to punch those out, and I'm going to put that in the middle section because it's all, you can see that where all the score lines are, and it's on the middle section. So now I'm going to go ahead and punch those out because you'll have 5 sections, and this is on the middle section. So just punching those circles out, and you can see it matches up. Well, sort of. But I'm going to take and I'm going to glue this shut, and it will make a little square. And this is just for some stability inside the main box. This is going to help, especially if you have heavy glass test tubes like what I used. I didn't use the plastic ones, I used glass. So that will definitely give your test tubes some stability. So this piece is 3 by 9, and all of your score lines are going to be down below so that you'll be able to do this as well. So we're just making the box part, making sure that we burnish all of those score lines. And I'm kind of doing it both ways just to make sure that it gives it a little bit of flexibility. So right, that second section in is where you're going to put, if you made a little template like I did, that's where you're going to put your template, and that's where you're going to punch those holes. And this time I'm drawing them in white so you can see them a little bit better. Or at least I'm hoping that you'll see them better. I know everybody's devices are different. So now we're going to go ahead and punch those out using my 1-inch circle punch. It's funny, you always know that that punch is coming, that pop, but I still jump every single time. So now we're going to go ahead and make sure that everything is the way that it needs to be, and we're going to put this little box into the bottom of the main box. Like I said, it's some stability. I'm putting some mono adhesive down, and then I'm going to put some liquid glue just to be on the safe side. If you really want to be safe, you want to go ahead and use some score tape or some sort of double-sided tape and make sure that's really attached in there. Now I can go ahead and look at closing this up and making sure it's all going to fit right. And you can tell that mine goes down a little bit more, so you want to make sure that everything lines up right and you get it glued in there properly. Make sure you're not making it slanted. So I'm going to go ahead and put my glitter paper on the front, making sure that the purple is at the bottom so that it all matches up when I put it on the card. And I'm also going to put this piece of ribbon right over the top. And I'm just going to wrap this around. And that way it kind of saves on ribbon, especially if you want to do a lot of these and you don't want to spend a whole lot of money on ribbon. There's no reason to wrap that out all the way around when no one's going to see it. So I'm going to go ahead and put some mono adhesive on the little box and some glue. Or maybe not some glue. We're just going to use mono. And then we're going to go ahead and put some mono adhesive on the other side. And we're going to glue the back side up. And we want to make sure that our box stays square, that it's not all cattywampus. And then we want to go ahead and glue the little tab as well. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put some mono on the inside. You can't see what I'm doing. I'm trying to make it to where you can though. And we're going to put that there, and then we will tuck this in so that it's nice and even. And I'm putting it on its side so that I can make sure that it is nice and square. And I'm just going to lay it down. That way you can lay your card flat if your test tubes are not in there. Because what you can do is you can always mail the, they don't have to be in there when you mail the card or give the card to them. And then just testing to make sure that everything fits really nice and easy. So now you can see I put some bubbles on mine, and I just cut them out and cut the little bits to where they would fit. Now these bubbles are of my own design, so you can't find them on Silhouette. I'm sorry. They are just something that I have, but I'm sure you can find some sort of something on Silhouette or Cricut, or you know what? I think there's a couple of companies that have bubble dies as well. So you might even be able to get them from there. You might even have one in your stash. So I'm just putting that on there, and now I have to get it. I'm going to bend it. I'm kind of showing you with my card that's already done, but I need to bend all of this so that it will go. Now he's going to go behind, So I'm gluing him down now, just with some mono adhesive. I'm going to place my little monster down. And then I need to put some of the bubbles on, but I have to cut part of the bubble away so that it will fit around the circle, because the circle isn't opened quite what I need it to be for the test tube to fit through. So I do have to cut around that, and I'm just bending that so that it'll go on the box. So if I bend that just right, it'll go down and around on the box. And the idea of that is I kind of wanted the test tubes to look like they were bubbling over, and just having a really good time with that. So I'm just going to use my scissors. I'm going to cut all this away. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut a little bit of the center out, but we will replace that later. So keep the pieces if you are doing bubbles like I am. And I also need to make sure nothing is covering up that second hole. So I'm going to go ahead and take all of these little bubbles out, and I need to take them all out. So now there's a little bit of glue on there. I'm going to go ahead and push that all down, make sure that it sticks, it's stable, and we're going to test it out to make sure that the test tube will go in okay. But first I'm going to go ahead, and this is looking a little naked. So I'm going to cut this little bubble out, and I'm going to stick it right there so we really get that effect of it looking like it's bubbling over. And we can see my test tube, it fits, but the side came off, so I need to make sure that that stays. So now I'm going to go ahead and stick those pieces in like I said we would. That way it looks nice and whole. And now that we're done with that, we can go ahead and put some glue on the back and put the box on top of the front of our card. Now you may want to use some, besides the liquid glue, you may or may not want to use some score tape. That'll also make it a little bit stronger if you're worried about the heaviness of your test tubes being on the card. But now all we have left to do is to decorate, and I have glue all over my fingers. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this little guy up at the top, and I want him kind of in front of the bubbles, but I want him hanging off to the side so you can still see him behind the test tube, like he's kind of coming around and going, hey! So now we're going to go ahead and put some candy into this little guy's hands. And those little pieces of candy you can find in the Little Monsters stamp set. And that stamp set, remember, it is 35% off for the next 24 hours. So you will want to grab your stamp set if you didn't back on day 6 when we were coloring the monsters. And Meadow actually had to step in for me here because my fingers just were not working for me. So she stepped in and did the little candy on the monster's hands for me. Now I'm going to use some 3D foam to go ahead and put our little monster on there with our bow. And I'm just using some liquid glue for our bow. It usually sticks if I let it sit and dry for a few minutes, but you can use hot glue as well. It'll probably, if you're giving this to a child, it might stick a little better. So I've got some scratch paper here. I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment, and the sentiment that I'm using is just here for the candy. I'm just going to put that on my block, and I'm using some VersaFine black ink, go ahead and stamp that out, and then I'm just going to cut it out so it just like right around, like I'm going to fussy cut one of the little guys. I'm just going to fussy cut that sentiment right out. And after the sentiment is cut out, I am going to use some 3D foam to place the little green monster on the front of the box. And then I'm going to use some 3D foam to also put the sentiment on front of the box on the right side. Let me grab the other box, the other card, so you can see exactly what it looks like. There we go. And I hope you enjoyed this. I will see you tomorrow for day 13.